Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Andy with Get Your Wellies. I am so glad you came today, and I would love for you to join me in the garden as we plant some things ready for the summertime. But first of all, as always, why don't you get your wellies, meet me in the garden. Well guys, welcome back to the garden, and today we're going to do some planting for the summer. So backstory to this, I went to buy bulbs for my mother-in-law, thinking daffodils, tulips. Well, of course those were for sale in the fall for the spring, so I couldn't find those with the exception of some that were already grown. So we ended up buying a pot with, you know, about 10 or 12 plants in it that are just starting, so they're poking out the ground, so that'll be an easy transplant and she will get to enjoy those. So this time of year when you go looking for bulbs that you should buy in the fall, what you find is summertime bulbs or roots and rhizomes of different kinds. So that's what we're going to plant today. I'm going to take one of my tubs. I'm going to put 3 different kinds of flowers in this tub. The first one is Bleeding Hearts. This one is pink. They are also available in red and black. I didn't see either of those colors. The black ones are just stunning, but I think they're a little harder to get. Those are full sun, but they can handle some partial shade. I got a yellow begonia. This one's pretty, and height-wise this will match well with the other 2 that I have. There's, I think, 3 roots in here, so this pot's going to have a total of about 6 bulbs in it, 6 rhizomes. So it'll be pretty full, but that's okay. We'll be feeding these things anyway because they're in pots. Now this is the one I'm excited about. If any of you follow Roots and Refuge, you would probably have seen this on there at some point. So this is a black hollyhock. So the thing I really like about these black flowers is even really dark blue or purple, but they really enhance the other colors. So yellow and pink are really going to pop against this black. You know, as always, I tell you on here, I have in my mind a vision of how this is supposed to look. That's not unique to me. That's what gardeners do, right? We think about, when we're planting things in the ground, we have an image in our mind of how it's supposed to look when it comes about, and sometimes that happens and sometimes it doesn't, and when it doesn't, it's actually okay because usually it's very beautiful anyway. Okay, so this is the tub that I'm going to use. This tub I have had since 2021, and I think one year it kind of sat with nothing much going on in it. The other years I've used it, and what I generally do is the same thing every year. This soil is still decent. It does have some, as you can see, some leaves, bits of leaves and stuff in it. I'm not going to worry about that. I really never do unless there's just a whole bunch of them in there. So here's the thing though to remember, and this tub's fairly deep still. I'm not going to take any more of the soil out because this really is pretty good quality soil, and I amend it and I feed the plants during the year, so it stays in good condition. So here's something to think about though. When you go through soil, if you're going to reuse soil and it was in your garden last year, be aware of a couple of things. One, when you're looking through that soil, you might sift it, use a sieve and sift it through. I typically don't do that, but you can, and that would get all the bits out easier. So within this soil mix you have stuff that is going to have been decomposing since the fall and will through the winter. So there, basically what you have is a mini compost pile, not as serious as that, but sufficient that microbes, when they're breaking this stuff down, will use a lot of nitrogen from the soil. So whilst compost does put nitrogen back in, the immediate, as the microbes reproduce to handle the volume of decaying matter in there, they are going to consume nitrogen. So be aware of that, because you don't want your plants to be starved for it. So here's what I do. I'm okay with leaving some bits in it, but what I'll do is add a fertilizer. This is a 10-10-10. This one was on sale. I have got some left, so I'm going to use it. If you go to the big box stores, you can buy like a big sack of this, which will last you, even with a reasonably good sized garden, it'll last you for most of the year. I've actually got another bag that's a big one, and I will use that. Oh, there's still a bit left in it, but I found this one. So but yeah, I use it a couple of times a year because this is a slow release fertilizer. So here's what the thing that you're doing is, you're going to take just a handful or two, and sprinkle that on this layer here. So what this will do, when it rains, the plant food will slowly dissolve, and the nutrients will go down into the soil. So if there's any microbes developing that need the nitrogen now, you're kind of feeding the composting a little bit. That's okay, because what's left is what your plants will be able to get. They're still not going to do much until it starts to warm up a lot more. Now we're still looking at some pretty cold weather coming. I wish we were over that, but it's only February, so of course we're not. We're going to get more. So that's your plant food. Now then you'll want to add some more soil, and put this in here so you can see it. You can either mix your own, and there are a ton of recipes for making soil on YouTube. I have one on Get Your Wellies, of course. The Hollis and Nancy homestead. Hollis is really good about using his own soil, and I recommend his if you don't want to do mine. You can see in here how it has some white pieces in it. That is, see if I got that about right, perlite. And you want, people have asked me a couple of times, how much do you put in, because I used a solo cup or a couple of solo cups in the video. Basically you want to mix enough in there that you can see it pretty readily. You don't want to have to like scan it and go, I don't think there's any perlite in there. You want to be able to see plenty. You cannot overdo it. So be sure and put that perlite in where you can see there's plenty of perlite on the top. And whilst you're working with the used soil, even though what I have here is good consistency, I like to have new soil on top, but the soil I have underneath I feel real good about. I did some sifting through that just with my fingers. I didn't find any evidence there was you know, maybe some pods, what looked like pods a couple of inches or so long, that would indicate maybe I've got an insect problem that's going to show up next year. Vine borers are really bad about disappearing into the ground after they've killed all your squash, and then they will reappear right when those flowers start showing up, and the males will be out there waiting for the females to hatch out so they can mate and kill your squash. So be on the lookout for anything that makes you think you might have insect problems. That way you can be looking for it ahead of time. Okay, moving on to better things. So on the hollyhock we have 2 roots in there, so spacing wise I'm going to put these back there, and the recommended depth on these is about 3 inches. I'm going to have a layer of mulch over the top of this too, so I'm still going to go 3 inches. It can be 2 to 3. So let's go about right here, because I'm going to have a good layer of mulch as well, so that'll make it about 3 inches by the time I've done that. And you can lay these kind of horizontal, so that's that one. The good thing about doing videos, honestly, one of the really good things is I have a record of where I put stuff, because I always thought I'd be good at keeping paper records, but I'm not. Watching Roots and Refuge makes me feel a little bit better, because Jess, basically she uses her videos to keep up with where things are planted and what dates were when things happen, so I'm in with good company, I guess. Okay, so these are definitely, this is the begonias, these are definitely more rooty looking, like a bulb. Let's see, so there's the main part of the root. I hope you can see that. The main part's there, so I'm going to put that one in about right there. There's the main part of the root there. So we can let's do it like this. So, you know, the spacing is where it gets a bit hard, because 18 inches apart, and these don't call for quite that much, I don't think. No, this is more like 10 to 12 inches, so this is okay. And then we'll put that Bleeding Heart at the front. So these are going to be just 1 to 2 inches deep, so they're sort of shallow actually, but we'll just go like that, because I'm going to come back and put mulch over the top too, so I'm not going to bury them just super deep. You know, plants, honestly, they're pretty forgiving. They want to grow. I say want to. It's inherently built into seeds and plants to try to grow. How much thinking is involved? I don't know. Okay, and then the Bleeding Heart, we got 1 root for that. I'll get it out the bag. Wow, that's a small root. That's a little fella there, and it feels a little dry. Although there's some white growth here at the end, so we're gonna cross our fingers on that one. And we'll check our depth. This one we want to be pretty accurate on, just because I'm not as optimistic. So this one says 2 to 3 inches. Given that we're gonna probably have some more cold weather, and I'm gonna mulch this too, so that should be good right there. Okay, all right. Okay, and there's a layer of mulch on there. So, and this is just a cypress mulch that I put on top. What I'll probably do is put some of my white aspen on top a little bit later, but I don't need to do that today. That's more decorative for me. I do like it because it's neutral when it breaks down. I've talked about mulch a little bit before, but the appearance to me of that white is very appealing. But for right now, this is fine. I just want it covered up so we can survive the cold weather that's coming. So there we go, and that is a wrap on that. Well, thanks for joining me, guys, as we planted some bulbs today. Now is a great time to go to the big box store if you are wanting to start perennials and haven't done that yet. The things that are in root form in the stores right now, this is a great time to get started, and most of these things are pretty easy to do. So I will catch you on the next episode of Get Your Wellies, but until then, bye now.